to my air signs Libra, Aquarius, and Gemini. Welcome to the Taurus lunar eclipse. You'll find the timestamps for your rising sign listed below. Hello Libra rising. Maybe a horoscope, probably more of a deep chat. We're going to be talking about the Taurus lunar eclipse that's happening on the 29th of October at 7:24 a.m. Australian Eastern Daylight Savings Time. So it's morning magic, but maybe not magic so much. My astrology mentors teach me that eclipse time is a time for tools down, magical tools down. After the injustice of the last solar eclipse in Libra, I really wish to honor and name the grief that is palpable, that is running through the global energy. I've been soul searching. I've been putting my makeup on and taking it off and putting it on and taking it off to try and think of what I might say for your next reading. And the wind picked up this morning really loudly. It's silent out there now. But that wind was like, you need to speak today, you need to speak this morning, and you need to speak the truth. In times like this, in times of such sadness and sorrow and upset and injustice, things like astrology and things like tarot seem really arbitrary. They seem really unimportant. They seem to be ineffectual, because what's the use in predicting something if you can't stop it from happening? And yet I remember what this work has meant for me and my survival. I remember that this work, listening to astrologers that I respect, listening to tarot readers that I admire, it gives my life context in the chaos. It gives me an opportunity to reflect on my life, to intentionally journey back to certain points and remember it with a fresher perspective. It makes me feel that I'm a part of something, that I'm welcome here. And at a time that is as difficult as is right now, a place where we are welcome is of utmost importance. A place where we feel protected. So my preamble states that I understand if now is not the time for you for a reading, that you couldn't be bothered listening to this sort of stuff. I get that and I completely respect that. I'm going to continue, and I'm going to talk about the sky and the tarot cards that represent these points of the sky that have done so before I was born, before any of us were born. The eclipses of Taurus and of Scorpio are wrapping up. We started in November of 2021. This is the final lunar eclipse in Taurus that will be near the dragon's head for the next 20 years. So when it comes to your sense of values, what it is that you value, Libra rising, what do you put your resources to? How do you affect change with your wealth? And your 8th house of obligation and contract, how you feel bound to other people in this life. The turbulence of these eclipses is reaching its crescendo point. The sun is at 5 degrees of Scorpio at this full moon. And the tarot card that we talk about when we speak to the first decan of Scorpio is the 5 of Cups. So there's your grief. There's your loss. There's the sorrow at injustice. moon is at 5 degrees of Taurus at this eclipse. There's your tarot card for that point of the galaxy. I hate this card and I love this card. It's so difficult to witness, and it's so difficult to sew in a sense of hope to this image. You are not welcome here, this card says. There's a bell around the leper's neck, so they would know he was coming. Disgusting. They have no shoes, they have nothing. They're in the bitter cold. And the church is warm. The pentacles of the stained glass glow. The fire, the hearth of spirituality is inside, the piety. No sanctuary for these two. This is the story that we finish. We have no magical access to this eclipse, nor do we have access to any eclipse, but we have access to storytelling. We have access to finding context amidst the chaos. We have access to our own faith and our own hope in crisis. This feeling of being not invited or not welcome or rejected is reaching its crescendo. And so I want you to feel that you are worth protecting, my friend. To feel that you are not worth protection is heartbreaking. And I grieve that sadness with you. But you are, and you will be. The dragon will eat this moon. The dragon will cause chaos in people's emotions, the way that they feel, the way that they react. Mars is in Scorpio, has been since the injustice of the last eclipse. Mercury is also in Scorpio too. Mars will meet up with Mercury. They'll conjoin, and there may be more times where we witness people speaking before they think. There may be more times of insensitivity in the face of crisis and pain. There may be more times where we'll have to steel ourselves against that. What I like is that Jupiter is in Taurus too. At this eclipse, faith and hope are there for you. Jupiter is speaking to Mars in Scorpio. There's a dance, an expansion, an offer that's there. What do you value now, Libra rising? When all is said and done, we've been presented with a certain strategy from birth. Work, 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 earn, 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 spend, 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 die. It's not worth it, is it? It's not worth it anymore. You're coming into a grander sense of yourself now, Libra rising, and we're going to contend with the dragon for nearly 2 years. Your first house, your sense of self, soul, and your relationships. I feel you in this moment, Libra rising. And I want to send you my love and kindness and support. We're in the thick of it now. But we've got to move. And we've got to remember that our existence is an act of resistance too. My friend Max Bookbinder has said that. It's their line, not mine. It's brilliant. We know that we're good people. We know when we witness the good in others. We're not going to believe in rhetoric that separates, subjugates any longer. We're going to stand up to ignorance and to hate. We're going to use our magic. And we're going to use our kindness as our weapon. I'm going to get you some tarot now, I think. The wind's picked up again. We'll see what happens. The 31st of October is coming up too. Another time that's morphed into an opportunity to spend. Consume, collapse, die. Also, your ancestors will be listening. So if there's a question that you have to ask, maybe on the 31st of October you can ask that of your ancestors. The planet that rules your sign, Venus, will have formed trine with Uranus on the 31st too. Back to the 8th house, back to the contracts, back to the revolution of those contracts. What are we walking away from? What is Venus guiding us towards? What are our ancestors saying? Light a candle on the 31st. The veil will be really thin. There's a reunion here. There's someone, something coming back together after a long time apart. And it's a feeling of, I've missed you so much. It's so lovely to hear from you. Someone who is really magical and in control, in power, in mastery of their magic. And someone who is in mastery, in control, in power with their emotional selves. There's a beautiful synergy of fire and water in this reconnection, this union. There's beautiful, powerful work that can be done together, and perhaps conversations that can be had, that need to be had in order to move forward. Pooling resources, working with other people's strengths, working with your strength and their strength. This is the Three of Cups. So I wonder if you're being closed in on now at this time, Libra rising. I wonder if you are the third witch and you've got the King of Wands and the Queen of Cups coming your way. Think about those that listen to you, that hear your emotions, that respect them and honor them, that encourage your empathy. And think about those that encourage and welcome and honor your magic. What is this trifecta, this triangle, this three people coming together after a long time apart? There's going to be no hassle with the gap in between time. That's okay. That's understandable. We've all got our plates in the air at present, trying to hold it together, trying to keep it going. Feel the support from these folks though, Libra rising, because I dare say you need it at this time. The 8th and the 2nd, the 8th and the 2nd. What am I bound to? What am I obliged to? What do I value? How are my resources going to be put to their greatest effect? Work, 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 spend, 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 die, die, die. I don't think so. I can't handle it. Money means nothing. It means nothing if I can't feel anything. You know, that feeling of dissociated dissatisfaction where nothing would be welcome. What do you want? I don't even know, because I've trapped myself, or I've been trapped. I don't think the onus is all on you at this time, Libra rising. Consider your environment, consider how safe you feel in that environment. And I tell you what, if that unsafety is rising, get out, recommune, reconnect. You're entitled to feel safe. We all are. And we witness how that right to belong is being ripped from people left and right at present. And it's harrowing. So get together with people that recognize your feelings and recognize your magic, and hold them close, because we'll need them moving forward. That's your reading, Libra rising. I love you very, very much. Take it easy. I can read your birth chart over at umaruby.com. I'll draw one up. They look like that, and I'll post it to you. You can support my work here in Horoscope Land for $10 Australian a month via buymeacoffee.com/umaruby. You can also just throw some money in the tip jar if that's all you have to spare at the moment. That's completely fine. Everything is accepted with love and affection. I know it's tough out there at the moment. We're getting by, rubbing those two sticks together. Don't you worry. We'll build a fire. I'm going to be speaking to you in 2 weeks, and we're going to talk about the new moon in Scorpio. So this is a clearing, my darling. This is a moment we have not had the privilege of accessing for 2 years. Scorpio, new moon, freedom, hope, your values, your resources. What will you do with them? Much love to you. I'll speak to you then. I look forward to it. Hello, Aquarius rising. Welcome to probably like a bit of a chat, maybe, rather than a horoscope. We're going to be talking about the final lunar eclipse in Taurus, which will happen on the 29th of October at 7:24 a.m. if you're using Australian Eastern Daylight Savings Time. And we're in the middle of eclipse season. We're feeling the roll and the wave of the injustice that the last Libra eclipse brought with it. You're feeling a sense of instability in the conviction of the work, for myself anyway. I've been doing a bit of soul searching the last bit of time and wondering to myself how effective it is to roll and work with this and in times of such crisis and in times of such pain and hatred. There's a powerlessness that is sort of palpable, and I don't like the way that folks interact with one another, with thoughts, with ideas so quickly these days. The town square is getting wider and wider, and I feel it in my body that it's time to grieve, and that it's time to really hold space for the grief of others. And so I confused myself. I thought, well, what good is this? I remember that I do this work to give me context, to give perhaps a bit of an anchor to the chaos, to have a bit of an opportunity to reflect, to be still for a moment, to feel what is asking to be felt. So, crisis of conscience aside, let's talk about the sky. The sun will be at 5 degrees in Scorpio at this eclipse. And the tarot card that speaks to that part of the sky is the 5 of Cups. There we all are. In our burden, in our sorrow, in our loss of faith. We must grieve what is no longer on offer, what is left, what is gone, the sorrow of loss has its moment. The zodiac teaches us that, so does the tarot. It's essential to feel this moment, to perhaps step out of here, or here, or here, and to feel what is going on. Reactionary impulses to have one say, or to say something silly. We can maybe look to Mercury and to Mars at this time too. A few days after this eclipse, they'll come together, so there may be more heated words, argumentative barbs being thrown. There may be more people speaking really loudly and not understanding the damage of their words at this time. We must keep the space open for this pain, for this sadness. I feel it so clearly, and I'm so proud that I feel it too. For a long time I couldn't feel anything, quite literally. There was a time in my life where I dissociated to a point that I was separate from my body. I was numb from the eyeballs down, trapped, locked in a thought process that was trying to protect me, trying to save me, trying to get me out of danger. I don't feel like that now. I feel the sadness and the pain and the sorrow of the current moment. And I'm underlining the word feel because it's in my body. And it feels so nice to be connected to my body. And I'm so grateful for my body in this moment. The moon is at 5 degrees of Taurus at this eclipse. The tarot card that speaks to that part of the sky is the 5 of Pentacles. Left out, shut off, uninvited, unwelcome, not here. The figures in the foreground, one of them wears a bell around their neck. They used to do that to lepers so they could hear them coming. This card speaks to subjugation and suppression, oppression, being uncounted, not included in the warmth and the wealth that the pentacles of the stained glass window represent. That holy space of piety. This card can bring up all manner of memories from when we did feel unwelcome, uninvited, not included. And so when we look at your birth chart, Aquarius rising, the houses of eclipse in Scorpio and in Taurus have been your 10th house, your most public self, and your 4th house of privacy and roots, home, ancestry. Because you're a fixed sign, you're fixed air, these eclipses, I could assume, may have felt extra specially potent over the last 2 years. They have been squaring your first house, your rising sign, your soul's rising intention. So there's an extra added layer of intensity to this power imbalance, this energy shift, this unstable feeling. Things may have come to the surface in your public self. Things may have revealed themselves in your private life. Your public-facing, private-facing selves may have been a bit confusing to keep your handle on which is which. Great things may have happened at work. Great things may have happened at home out of the blue. When I look at these two cards, it tells me a story. It tells me a specific story. And so I'd like to remind you that there will be no eclipses in Taurus near the dragon's head for the next 20 years. And I don't say that to predict that it will all be smooth sailing from here on in. I simply say that this is a moment, a marker point, an invitation to reflect on the last 2 years and the way that you have felt about yourself, your place in the world, your sense of belonging, your achievements, and your position in your bloodline, if that's history that you have access to and you even know what your bloodline is. The 4th house should be a place of privacy and protection. For a lot of us, it wasn't. Our public selves sometimes are a mask, and we put that on and we work from the chest as we move out into the world. Rebuff and protect. I'd like for you at this last eclipse to congratulate yourself on the changes that you have made, Aquarius rising, in regard to how you access privacy and safety and how you put yourself out there, and how this instability of the last 2 years, thrilling and exciting and also terrifying, has spoken to your soul center, spoken to your core, your sense of self. I no doubt believe that you've been thrown by what's occurring in the world right now, Aquarius rising. It's affecting you really deeply. It's hurting you. I really understand that. You think about the moving parts of the collective. You think about all of us, probably before you think of yourself. The way that you think about yourself improves when you feel that you're being useful for others. And so in moments of time like this, where you did everything you could and it didn't work out, or things keep crashing and burning all around you, freeze is what I feel. Mars in Scorpio is good, helpful. Mars works really well in Scorpio. Mars brings passion to Scorpio. Mars in opposition to Jupiter at this eclipse is hope. I see it as a bit of faith. Perhaps the expansion or potential in your public-facing self is being aided by a reacquaintance with the base of you. If the body can be broken up into signs of the zodiac, Aries at the head, Pisces at the feet, and Scorpio is our genitals, our root, our base. And if Mars can bring passion and fire to that base, I'm reminded of the power, and I'm reminded of the rebellion and revolution that pleasure can provide us. We know ourselves, we know our bodies, we know our desires, and we're not ashamed of them because we know that they come from a place of clarity and honesty. We know that we engage in consensual pleasure with others. We know that we engage in consensual pleasure with ourselves. And sometimes to harness or feel that root, that base of you, helps us to ground again too, invites us back into the body. Have you ever cried and laughed at the same time? I love that. Have you ever cried and come at the same time? I love that too. Have you ever laughed and come at the same time? I like that too. We're in the body at this moment. Taurus would like that for us. Taurus would be proud of us to be in our bodies during this grief. It's tempting to stay here, to zoom back out into the rafters, to dissociate so far away that you're untouchable. But you've got to be touchable, babe. You're allowed to feel it. I'm going to get some tarot, I think. Two years. A lot can change in 2 years. A lot can reveal itself, a lot can be taken away, a lot can be broken through, a lot can be reclaimed. I'm proud of you, Aquarius rising. You're doing brilliantly. You know her. That's the High Priestess. She knows everything that you could possibly ever want to know the answer to. She has it all in her book. She sits sometimes in front of a curtain of pomegranates. She's tasted everything. Above, below, light, shadow, man, woman. She lives in each and every one of us, Aquarius rising. This is your intuition in a tarot card. This is that voice that does not yell or berate you or argue with you. This is the voice that is silent, but you can feel it right here. You can feel the presence of her. So what's your question? She won't answer you, but ask it now. No one's judging you. You are loved. Your life has been worth living. Your life has been powerful. Your life has been from a place of love. Your impulses, your direction, your motivation has been to care for other people, Aquarius rising. At the end of it all, when it's all chalked up, thousands of years from now, you're going to rest and you're going to remember that you lived a full life and that you're becoming the person that you always have been. No thou shalt not. No rule book. No question of morality. Honest, pure thoughts. Strategy comes from you. Let's find the way together, is what you say. That's mastery, as far as I can see it. You're a magical, magical, magical creature, Aquarius rising. You've got the powers of the universe. They run through your fingers. Your dreams tell you stories. You translate the patterns of the world. You express yourself so that others may express themselves. Your life has been a masterpiece. And it's not over yet. We're moving through. We're shedding the mask. We're shedding the cycle. We're breaking the cycle that we feel that we've inherited. We're standing strong. Strong back, soft front. Hot root. I love you, Aquarius rising. You're living out your purpose, and it's stunning. I can read your birth chart at umaruby.com. They look like that, and you get to keep it after. You can subscribe to my horoscopes at buymeacoffee.com/umaruby. I think it costs 10 Australian dollars per month. You get 2 horoscopes a month. This is always free access though. That's only if you can afford to support my work. And if you would like, you can reach out via my website too. I don't wish for there to be a financial barrier. If you've got a question, I'd be happy to answer it. Just write me. Much love to you, Aquarius rising. I'll speak to you in 2 weeks, and we'll work with a Scorpio new moon. We'll work with this that has been unavailable to us in relationship to our public self. Our most front-facing we'll be able to make some magic with that. Hashtag career goals, if you like. Enough of that though. I'll speak to you then. You take care. Bye. Hello, Gemini rising. Well, it might not be a horoscope per se, but it might be like a really deep chat. I'm going to be talking about the final lunar eclipse in Taurus. It's happening on the 29th of October at 7:24 a.m. if you're using Australian Eastern Daylight Savings Time. I'm going to be talking about the closing moment to reflect on the last 2 years of your life since November of 2021. I'm going to be speaking and journeying into your hidden, private, secret spirituality and your sense of permanence, your sense of obligation, and your sense of rhythm, your body, your physical health. In eclipses, I'm coming to learn rapidly, we don't really have so much access to them in your spiritual practice, in your worship, in your moon rituals, your magic making, your spell casting. The energy at eclipse time is unstable. The light on the earth is short-circuited. The birds start to sing when they shouldn't. Everything gets a bit confused. And so this is kind of more like a way for me to tell you that I love you and that you are protected and that you are admired and you are worth it. I've been having a bit of a crisis of conscience. I've been trying to think of the efficacy of my horoscopes during a time of such sadness and grief across the world. The injustice that the Libra solar eclipse brought with it was mind-boggling. And there was a moment where I thought, what's the use in seeing if you can't stop it? I use this form of reading to give myself a sense of context, to give a moment to reflect, and to bring me back to Earth. I look up to the galaxy and to the stars every single night. Sometimes I think I'd love to be sucked up there. When I think that, the galaxy reminds me that my job is here. And by finding these patterns in the chart, in the cards, it gives me a sense of belonging. And so I hope that moving forward with these readings, Gemini rising, you can feel that too. It's unanswerable, insufferable, the level of pain and injustice that is occurring across the planet right now, all in such quick succession. I'm really resentful of the culture that has our interactions like a slot machine, and that some folks are so head-bound, trapped by their intellect, that they're compelled to speak before they've thought or felt anything. It's heartbreaking, and it's a culture that we have our eye on. it was set up and grew up all around us really quickly, we can step away from it just as quickly too. The planet Mercury is kind of like the voice box. And so a couple of days after this eclipse in Taurus, Mercury and Mars will form a conjunction, so they'll be at the same degree in Scorpio. This may bring with it another wave of people speaking before they've thought. And so I just wish to say that to you, Gemini rising, not to prepare you, but just to give you the comfort and to witness your sadness at this present time, and to name the compulsion to speak before one has felt something. I honor silence. There's grace in taking the moment to absorb the shock. On your birth chart, Gemini rising, for the past 2 years, these eclipses have been playing out in Taurus, in your 12th house of your hidden work, your unconscious spirituality, your private worlds, your psychology. And Scorpio in your 6th house of your rhythm, your commitment, your body. It potentially has felt that there's been no anchor. There may have been this feeling of like, sort of like gas on the inside, you know, feeling of anxiety sometimes when it sits here. It's like I can't ground myself, but I don't feel free enough to go there. So I'm kind of in this limbo. I don't know quite what to do with this. You may have also had some breakthroughs in regard to the way that you relate to your spirituality, or the opinion that you have of your internal workings, what goes on in private. There may have been some reclamation of some parts of you that have always existed, but took a little while to find the language for. There may have been things to do with your physical ecosystem, your body, that needed some stricter attention to. So this is the crescendo of this story. That isn't to say that these parts of our lives won't be needing to be contended with in the future. It is a time to reflect on the past 2 years, thinking about your physical self and your psychological, spiritual, mystical self. How you've perhaps been able to allow one to inform the other. What is real, what is present, what's in front of me. How is my health? How is my heart? How is my body? And what is beyond? What do I believe in now? If we look to the sky at this eclipse, and we see that the sun is at 5 degrees of Scorpio, then we speak to the 5 of Cups in Tarot. This highlights for me the importance to speak to grief, maybe just to allow some room for that grief, to wear our black, to mourn what has been lost, what has been destroyed. There's 2 cups behind. They're holding watch standing vigil until you're ready. But grief is private, and grief takes as long as it needs to. We can trust that with grief in Scorpio, our body has access to that. Scorpio in your sixth house reinforces that concept. Things like somatic healing, things like the transformational act of touch as a healing practice might be gorgeous for you right now, Gemini rising. If you can allow yourself to be touched, or if you can indeed touch yourself and feel it, that will be really handy for you as we work with this unstable energy of the eclipses. Mars in Scorpio is beneficial. Mars is the guiding light for Scorpio. They're really at home there. So too in Aries, where we find our bravery. In Scorpio, we find our passion again. If we want to consider our body as the zodiac, Aries is the head, down to Pisces in the feet. And Scorpio is our genitals, our root. There's healing to be done there, Gemini rising. With the company of Mars, the support, the bravery, perhaps you can investigate where that healing needs to occur, where that grief is being held. You can breathe with your belly. Let it get fat and round. Don't suck it in. Relax. At 5 degrees of Taurus, where the moon is at this eclipse, we speak about the 5 of Pentacles. That feeling of being shut out, not included, unwelcome, ostracized. The figure in the foreground has a bell around their neck. They used to put bells around the necks of lepers so they could hear that they were coming. The glow at the stained glass window and what lies beyond that, the holy space of piety and godliness, is not on offer to these two people in the street. They're not welcome. I know who I identify with. This unconscious, private loneliness is speaking to your root, speaking to your base, speaking to the body, Gemini rising. There is so much potential to heal all of that loneliness by the act of coming into contact again with your physical self, grounding yourself here. feeling out the soft spots, the pain points, feeling the heat of Mars rise in your root. You are welcome here, Gemini rising. I bring you comfort. I bring you love. I bring you understanding. I know that feeling of the door being closed, time and time and time again. I know that feeling of not trusting the offer, not trusting any offer. I know that feeling of closing oneself in the private world, the spiritual world. I know that feeling of desperation when praying, trying to feel something, give me something, give me something. This eclipse is going to give you something, Gemini rising. Spend time with the body. Spend time with yourself, with others that you trust, can hold you in this grief. I love you, Gemini. And we will heal in time. The grieving will ease in time. Come back to the body. Feel it. Sometimes it feels really good. I love you. I love your grief. I love your scars. I love your gentleness. I love your kindness. I love your ecstasy. I love your pleasure. I love your beauty. Take it easy, Gemini rising. If you'd like me to read your birth chart, they look like that drawing in the front there. I'll read it to you, and then it's yours to keep after as well. A physical emblem of our time together. If you're in the financial position where you can support my work, you can subscribe for 10 Australian dollars a month over on buymeacoffee.com/umaruby. It's not essential though. I give this work because it gives my life purpose. It gives me context, and it invites me back into my body, back to earth. I love you. I love you. I love you. I love you.